This video is a brief review of the business programs and the people who provided business education at Battle Creek College, Emmanuel Missionary College, and Andrews University over the last 150 years. Adventist business education began at Battle Creek College. In an 1872 essay entitled Proper Education, Ellen White called for balanced, practical education. Her thinking clearly related Christian education with religious philosophy. Much of her essay recommended practical areas of education, such as training in agriculture, crafts, business, physiology, cooking, and other domestic arts. Even before Battle Creek College was officially launched, Goodloe Harper Bell was teaching bookkeeping in his preparatory select school in 1873. Bell was one of the original faculty at Battle Creek College when it began in 1874. Sidney Brownsberger was also a teacher in the select school in 1873, in charge of the higher classes. Brownsberger became the first principal of Battle Creek College in 1874. Starting in 1874, Uriah Smith was asked to present Bible lectures at the new college, and he also taught phonography or shorthand. It is said that he gave 25 lectures to his students and then left them to scratch for themselves. James White and Charles Stone wanted to add practical business subjects to the curriculum, but due to limited resources, only 2 classes in bookkeeping and phonography were offered. During the 1876-77 term, 19 students were enrolled in the bookkeeping class. A year later, bookkeeping had grown to 37 students. The commercial department was formed in 1878, but a permanent teacher had not yet been appointed. In 1879, the board voted to add 5 faculty at Battle Creek College, including Charles Warner Stone. This permitted James White to inaugurate his much desired Commerce Department for the training of Christian businessmen. Charles Warner Stone was hired as an instructor of commercial science and vocal music in 1879. Stone was a gifted musician and organized and directed the choir program at Battle Creek College. By 1880, he had installed a full-fledged commercial department. The commercial department was an immediate success, with 53 students enrolled in the one-year curriculum, including W.K. Kellogg. According to Emmett Vanderveer, it might have done even better if Stone had been more of a businessman than a minister. The curriculum in Stone's Commerce Department consisted of 9 subjects in bookkeeping, theory of accounts, business letter writing, business forms, commercial law, banking, business arithmetic, penmanship, and reading and spelling. Tuition for the full program was $40. After Sidney Brownsberger resigned in May of 1881, the board asked Charles Stone to temporarily assume the duties of principal until a replacement could be found. Shortly after the new president, Alexander McLearn, was appointed, unrest among the faculty erupted. James White had just died. Mrs. White had departed to Australia, and there wasn't strong leadership on the board. Open conflicts flared between Bell, Smith, and McLearn. The censure and dismissal of 3 faculty caused morale to plummet, and several others threatened to resign. Bell left to begin a new school in South Lancaster, Massachusetts. Protests and petitions from students and constituents added to the toxic environment at the college, and the board concluded that Dr. McLearn should be replaced at the end of the 1881-82 year. Because of the unrest on campus and the demoralized staff, the board voted to close the college and suspended all programs for the 1882-83 year. In July of 1883, the board invited W. H. Littlejohn to be the new Battle Creek College president, but in August of 1883, Charles Stone was tragically killed in a train accident. After his death, the commercial program vanished from the curriculum. When classes resumed in the fall of 1883, the college had only 10 instructors and about 80 students. There had been over 430 students enrolled in the 1881-82 school year. The two bookkeeping classes continued to be taught, but they were now hidden in the English program. Elmer Gardner was an 1886 graduate of the Battle Creek English program. In 1897, Gardner returned to Battle Creek to re-establish the Commerce program during Sutherland's reform period. When Battle Creek College moved to Berrien Springs, Gardner left to teach at Union College, but he returned to teach at Emmanuel Missionary College about 20 years later. Gardner's Commerce program consisted of 10 subjects and was a one-year program. The courses included bookkeeping 1 and 2, business practice, penmanship, business correspondence, commercial law, business ethics, phonography 1 and 2, and technical reporting and typewriting. Tuition was $52.50 for the full 10-course program. Edward Sutherland graduated from Battle Creek College in 1890 and became president in 1897. He wanted to reform the college curriculum to more closely conform to Mrs. White's original educational philosophy. He and Percy McGann were largely responsible for making the big move to Berrien Springs in 1901. He was the last president at Battle Creek College and the first president of Emmanuel Missionary College. Emmanuel Missionary College was established in 1901 in Berrien Springs, Michigan, as a training school for Christian workers. Edward Sutherland's educational philosophy stressed practical training courses, work-study requirements, and a strong sense of mission. Students and faculty studied together in the morning and labored together in the afternoon. Weekends saw them out evangelizing in nearby churches and communities. Students did not receive formal degrees, but pursued studies to prepare them for mission work and self-supporting evangelistic efforts. Students and staff constructed all the original buildings on the EMC campus. A good example was the Administration Building, also known as South Hall. Emmanuel Missionary College did not have legal authority to grant degrees or diplomas in Michigan. It had been incorporated as a charitable religious organization. Records of class completions were not well maintained, so little is known about exactly which classes students took or which programs or tracks they completed. The earliest records at EMC imply that a few students completed a set of stenography secretarial classes in 1908, and one student, Orrin Applegate, finished an accounting business track in 1909, but these were unrecognized diplomas. In 1910, EMC finally filed the legal papers to incorporate as an educational institution in Michigan, and the Commerce Department was officially reestablished at the urging of President Otto Graf. The first commerce teachers at EMC included J. Grant Lamson and his wife, C.E. Perry, Benjamin Smith, Bernard Foote, Claude Schull, Marion Kelly and his wife, and Elmer Gardner. The Commerce program in 1917 offered 3 tracks of study in business, secretarial, and commerce. The business and secretarial tracks required only 10 grades of education for admission and were considered less demanding programs than the commerce track, which required 12 grades of education for admission and prerequisite coursework in bookkeeping, penmanship, spelling, and typewriting 1. The commerce track was a legitimate associate's degree and required 2 full years of study. Tuition for the commerce program was $90 a year in 1917. Here is a picture of the campus in the early 1920s. Because of the work-study program, large crops of fruits and vegetables were harvested, which generated income for the school. In 1922, Elmer Gardner returned to teach at EMC. In the interim period, he had taught at several schools in the Midwest, but came back to head the Department of Commerce and Stenography. Here is a picture of Mr. Gardner with his students in 1923. The faculty in 1924 consisted of Elmer Gardner, Claude Connard, and Earl Beatty. There was real growth in the Commerce program in the 1920s. Here are some pictures of Mr. Gardner with his students in 1924, 1926, 1927, 1928, and you'll notice by 1929 there were more than 70 students enrolled in the Commerce program. So it is surprising that in spite of the obvious interest in commerce studies, when Elmer Gardner retired in 1929, the Commerce Department was dissolved. Business classes were merged into the Social Science Department, where they remained until 1953. From the 1930s to the 1950s, all the commerce teachers held significant administrative duties at the college. They only taught part-time. For example, Earl Beatty was the accountant and treasurer at the school from 1924 to 1962. He taught classes in the morning and worked in the office in the afternoon. This is the layout of the EMC campus in the 1930s. Note the sundial in the sidewalk between South Hall and Birch Hall. By the mid-1930s, there were 3 part-time business teachers in the social science department: Earl Beatty, Robert McMorland, and Lee King. It is notable that both Mr. Beatty and Mr. McMorland enrolled at Northwestern University and received the MBA degree, making them well qualified to teach business at EMC. In 1933, the Social Science Department decided they would begin to offer the BA degree in Business Administration. This degree had only one required class, Principles of Economics. The remaining 26 credits were electives. Since there were only 28 elective credits that looked anything like business subjects, students had to take virtually every elective in order to obtain their BA degree in business administration. By this time, tuition had increased to $14 a month, or $126 per year. By the 1940s, it was clear that the primary emphasis in the social science department was to teach history, economics, sociology, and political science. Business seemed to be an afterthought. Mr. Beatty and Mr. McMorland were the only 2 part-time business teachers in the social science department at that time. Elihu Ryden, who was a full-time member of the social science faculty, did teach the economics courses. Here is a picture of the EMC campus in 1943. Notice the recently constructed Nethery Hall and also the large complex for college wood products. Even by 1950, there were still no full-time business teachers in the social science department. They all held administrative responsibilities at the college. V. Lovell was the business manager, Earl Beatty was the accountant and treasurer, Robert McMorland was the associate accountant and assistant treasurer, and Wilson Trickett was an assistant to the business manager. In 1953, the business department was split off from the social science department, and Wilbert Schneider was installed as its first chairman. Professor Schneider was the first business PhD employed at EMC. He upgraded the curriculum and introduced the Bachelor of Science in Business degree in 1954. Thus, the faculty in 1954 consisted of Dr. Schneider, Earl Beatty, Ed Garber, and Wilson Trickett. When Dr. Schneider became the college dean in 1956, E. Strauss Cubley was hired as the new business department chairman. The faculty in 1958 consisted of Earl Beatty, Strauss Cubley, Harry Schau, and Wilson Trickett. Here is a picture of the EMC campus in 1958. You'll notice that Pioneer Memorial is under construction, and you can also clearly see Tin Town, the Quonset hut development where married students were housed on Beaver Point. E. Strauss Cubley retired in 1959, and J. Russell Nelson became the new business department chairman. In 1961, Russell Nelson left EMC to pursue his doctoral degree and subsequently taught at Minnesota and Colorado. He eventually became the chancellor at the University of Colorado and the president of Arizona State University. In 1982, Andrews University awarded him an honorary doctorate in recognition of his academic achievements. 1960 was the year in which EMC became Andrews University. The business faculty at that time consisted of J. Russell Nelson, Harry Shao, Wilson Trickett, and Earl Beatty. By 1962, Arthur Klein had joined the faculty and was appointed department chair. Marcus Hartline, Harry Shao, and Wilson Trickett rounded out the business faculty at that time. Robert Firth was recruited to Andrews University in 1964 to establish the first Master of Business Administration degree for the graduate school. He spent the 1964-65 year developing the curriculum, strengthening the library collection, and recruiting faculty and students for the first intake in 1965. The 1965 business faculty consisted of Robert Firth, Marcus Hartline, Harlan Hollopeter, Arthur Klein, Harold Phillips, and Wilson Trickett. Doctorally qualified faculty were needed in the MBA program, so the current staff were strongly encouraged to pursue advanced training in business. In 1965, Arthur Klein was given study leave at Michigan State University. Wilson Trickett began working on a doctorate part-time at MSU, and Harold Phillips finished his dissertation and graduated from the University of Florida. In 1965, the Master of Business Administration degree was launched. There were 7 areas where students had to meet prerequisites in accounting, economics, management, law, marketing, finance, and statistics. The actual MBA consisted of 10 courses, 6 core, and 4 electives. In addition, students had to complete 2 research projects or write a 3-credit thesis to graduate. Tuition for the MBA program was $18 per credit in 1965. Andrews University graduated their first MBA students in 1966. These 6 students all went on to serve the SDA Church in their careers, as did many of our MBA graduates who followed them. Here is a picture of Andrews University in 1968. The faculty in 1968 consisted of Dr. Firth, Dr. Phillips, Keith Hanna, Arthur Klein, and Wilson Trickett. In 1969, Andrews University recruited Dr. Torben Thompson to the faculty. Dr. Thompson was an innovative accounting teacher. He invented and patented a device for illustrating accounting in the classroom. A few years later, he took leave from Andrews to assist the country of Zaire in establishing standards for chartered accountants in that country. Here is a picture of Dr. Trickett with his MBA class in 1969 in room 120 of Nethery Hall. This is the room in which virtually all the MBA courses were taught in the 1970s and early 1980s. The business faculty in 1970 consisted of Dr. Firth, Arthur Klein, Dr. Phillips, Dr. Thompson, Dr. Trickett, and Keith Hanna. Unfortunately, Keith Hanna drowned off the North Pier at St. Joseph, Michigan on September 11, 1971, just 2 weeks before the new school year was to begin. Fred Harder was urgently recruited from the Andrews Education Department to teach Keith's economics courses that fall. He subsequently became the permanent economics teacher in the department. By 1973, the business faculty consisted of Robert Firth, Fred Harder, Arthur Klein, Harold Phillips, Torben Thompson, and Wilson Trickett. 1977-78 was the last year in which Dr. Firth chaired the business department. Here is a picture of Dr. Firth with his faculty and several graduate student assistants in the department. Nabil Razouk and Robert Schwab were both on doctoral leave at that time. In 1978, Dale Twomley assumed the chairmanship of the business department. Here's a picture of Dr. Twomley with his faculty and graduate assistants. The 1979 business faculty consisted of Dale Twomley, John Wentworth, Keith Murray, Bruce Wren, Norm Perry, Leonard Gashugi, Malcolm Russell, Greg Davis as a graduate assistant, Wilson Trickett, and Robert Firth. Nabil Razouk and Robert Schwab were completing their doctorates at that time. 1980 was a watershed year for the business program. Our president, Grady Smoot, wanted to establish a professional business program at Andrews. So in 1980, the School of Business was formed, and Dale Twomley was appointed its first dean. Nabil Razouk and Robert Schwab returned to the faculty, and major curriculum changes were made in the MBA and the bachelor's programs to align with new business accreditation standards. The marketing major was offered for the first time, and the BBA degree was launched with 5 areas of concentration. Keith Murray and Bruce Wren were granted doctoral study time. The faculty in 1982 consisted of Lyndall Henry, David Albrecht, Leonard Gashugi, Dale Twomley, Nabil Razouk, Bob Schwab, and Malcolm Russell. Several business affiliations were made with sister Adventist schools in the 1970s and 80s. These agreements allowed students to earn degrees that were recognized in their home countries. With supervision, each school taught our curriculum and their teaching staff had to meet our standards. When a national charter was obtained by the school, affiliation was no longer needed and the relationship was terminated. The business school had affiliation agreements with Adventist Seminary of West Africa in Nigeria, Caribbean Union College in Trinidad, Helderberg College in South Africa, Newbold College in England, Salusi College in Zimbabwe, Spicer College in India, the University of Eastern Africa in Kenya, and West Indies College in Jamaica. In 1983, Dale Twomley departed, and Dr. Firth became acting dean. Notice that there were several faculty on study leave at that time. During the 1980s, the School of Business provided seminars and training programs for several area organizations. Here are some pictures from a 2-day seminar put on for the benefit of the Lake Union Conference in 1984. By the mid-1980s, the business school had grown and several faculty were needed to teach in each discipline. At that time, our accounting faculty consisted of David Albrecht, Bruce Dietrich, Don Doherty, and Marianne Hoffman. Karen Crooker, Robert Firth, Bob Robinson, and Bob Schwab taught management, and our economists were Leonard Gashugi, Malcolm Russell, and David Swain. Cy Saliba and Bruce Wren taught marketing, and finance was covered by Ralph Tricarton. Here we see Marianne Hoffman, Leonard Gashugi, and Bruce Wren in their classrooms in the 1980s. Our dean at that time, Cy Saliba, developed the plans and raised the funds to build the new School of Business home, Chan Shun Hall. In 1989, Chan Shun Hall was dedicated, and we were pleased to have Mr. Chan Shun present for that occasion. During the decade of the 1990s, 3 deans served the School of Business: Cy Saliba, Harold Phillips, and Ann Gibson. In 1990, the Computer Science Department joined the School of Business, and 3 academic departments were created: Accounting, Economics, and Finance, Computer Science and Information Systems, and Management and Marketing. Dr. Saliba also launched several international MBA extension programs in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Trinidad. These programs generated large intakes of graduate students that came to our campus each summer to complete their degrees. The MS in Software Engineering was launched in Singapore and Taiwan, and additional MBA extensions were offered in Singapore and Portland, Oregon. Here are some pictures from our MBA extension site in Taiwan. You can see Dr. Tidwell, Dr. Schwab, Dr. Greenlee, and Dr. Gashugi with their students. Here we see Malcolm Russell, Bill Greenlee, Bob Schwab, and Doug Frood with their students in the 1990s. And here are some pictures of Doug Singh, Malcolm Russell, and Ralph Trecarton with their students in the late 1990s. Here are the faculty who taught accounting, economics, and finance in the 1990s. The Computer Science and Information Systems Department faculty who served in the 1990s are displayed here. In 1999, the Computer Science faculty left the School of Business and moved to the College of Arts and Sciences. Also in 1999, the Information Systems faculty merged with the Management and Marketing Department to create the Management, Marketing, and Information Systems Department within the School of Business. Here are the faculty who taught management, marketing, law, and cultural relations in the 1990s. During the next 2 decades, 3 deans served the School of Business Administration: Ann Gibson, Charles Tidwell, and Alan Stembridge. Here are their pictures with their administrative assistants. There were a number of notable milestones that occurred during this period. A local chapter of Students in Free Enterprise was formed. Student teams developed service projects for the surrounding community and were evaluated at the regional and national levels. Our teams won several awards for these service projects. In the early 2000s, the SBA began to offer summer study tours to Asia and Europe. In 2009, the School of Business Administration received accreditation for the BBA, BS, and MBA degree programs through the International Accreditation Council for Business Education. By 2013, the MBA degree became available online. Here are some pictures of our SIFE teams as they made presentations nationally. And here are some pictures of the awards that they won. The School of Business also engaged in several service projects, including the VITA program, where students provide tax assistance to the community. Here's a picture of Jim Temple working with a student. Here we see the SBA faculty at a farewell celebration for one of the staff. The AEF department faculty and staff who served in the 2 decades between 1997 and 2017 are displayed here. Management, Marketing, and Information Systems faculty who served from 1997 to 2017 are shown here. In 2018, the School of Business Administration was merged into a new College of Professions. This new college initially consisted of three academic units: the Department of Aviation, the Department of Computing, and the School of Business Administration. Ralph Trecarton was appointed Dean of the new College of Professions. He also served as the Dean of the School of Business Administration. In 2021, Kim Pichot became the Dean of the College of Professions and Dean of the School of Business Administration. Here are their pictures, along with Dina Rodriguez, their executive assistant, and also the pictures of the head of the Department of Aviation, Dwayne Habeneck, and the Department of Computing, Bill Wolfer. Here is a picture of the School of Business Administration staff in 2021. Notable recent events in the School of Business Administration include the lobby at Chanshan Hall was transformed into a comfortable study area with funding from the Advent Health System. New affiliation agreements were signed with Middle East University in Lebanon, the Vietnam National University, and the National Economics University of Vietnam for our MBA and BBA programs. An online magazine called Study SBA was launched in 2023 to provide information about the SBA to our business alumni and friends. A PhD in business was launched for the first time in 2023, and the thinkerbox.org platform was created to develop science and educational programs for the benefit of K-12 students, teachers, and homeschoolers. Current programs include studies with robotics and drones. The Accounting, Economics, and Finance Department faculty who served between 2018 and 2024 are shown here. The Management and Marketing Department faculty between 2018 and 2024 are pictured here. Degrees available within the School of Business Administration as of 2023 included the Associate of Science in Business, the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, the Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting, Finance, Information Systems, International Business, Management, and Marketing, the MBA in Business Administration, the MSA in Organizational Management, and the PhD in Business Administration. As of 2023, there have been 3,471 bachelor's degrees awarded in business at Andrews University since 1960, and there have been 1,525 graduates from our MBA program since 1966. As the SBA looks forward to 2024-25, two new BBA degrees will be offered in accounting analytics and supply chain management. The Information Systems faculty is merging into the Accounting, Economics, and Finance department to better facilitate the new accounting analytics program. The School of Architecture and Interior Design is joining the College of Professions. And thinkerbox.org plans to expand and will develop more videos and technology-related tools to assist STEM education for K-12 students, teachers, and homeschoolers. This concludes our brief historical review of 150 years of business instruction at Battle Creek College, Emmanuel Missionary College, and Andrews University.